Hello and welcome to this presentation on how we can integrate Autodesk Vault with Autodesk Construction Cloud. What we often see is that people use Autodesk Vault to manage their internal design data, but are struggling with sending this data out to other stakeholders. Often this is then done through generic cloud solutions. Now, by leveraging Autodesk Construction Cloud, users can benefit from all functionality within Autodesk Docs, such as the Cloud Viewer, and thus having a more direct feedback loop with the external partners. So let's first go into setting up the integration between Autodesk Vault and Autodesk Docs. To do this, we're simply going to go into Autodesk Vault configuration, and we're going to specify an Autodesk Vault folder to synchronize with a local folder, which then gets synchronized into the cloud. We call that Desktop Connector. Now, in this configuration, we can go beyond standard configuration. We can actually schedule this to happen every hour or every 2 hours. We can also specify certain UDPs, user-defined properties, that have to be met before data actually gets synchronized into the cloud. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm picking up on the lifecycle state. That state has to be released, and only those files will get synchronized into the cloud. So that's effectively what you see here. First, there was no file that was in the release state, so none of them get synchronized into the cloud. When I move one file into the release state, then actually there's a job that gets triggered, and that's actually where Job Server comes in. Job Server is part of Autodesk Vault, and it essentially processes all of those jobs that get sent to it. So in this case, it's picking up this one file, and it's going to move the file into the local environment, local folder, which then gets synchronized into the cloud through, as I mentioned, Desktop Connector. So finally, from the other stakeholders' point of view, they can then move into the cloud, go to their designated folder, and actually view this file, give feedback on it, etc., etc. So this concludes the presentation on the synchronization between Vault and Autodesk Construction Cloud. Hopefully you found it useful. Thanks for watching.